Hi everyone, this is my evaluation response for my question 3, which is entitled What Have You Learnt from Your Audience Feedback? Now, I have recently received audience feedback where it actually covers the entire breadth of my media products, which is my website, my CD package and my music video. And basically the feedback gives a detailed response. But overall, let's refer back to what my target audience actually is. So basically, my original target audience is 13 to 24-year-olds. This is overall due to the song being quite upbeat and which entices a summery vibe to it. Therefore, I thought that it was perfect for this age category. Therefore, the audience that I have chose is within the establishment of Jung and Rubicam's theory, linking further to the idea of them being mainstreamers. This is because the age group 13 to 24-year-olds is the most likely age group to be into popular musical genres like pop, which the song Seeing Stars is a subgenre of, as it is a genre of both indie and pop music. Therefore, the audience is likely to be based within this category for the song. Also, to further link in with the idea of the life matrix, my music video is aimed towards people that are tribe-wired and fun antics, basically meaning that they are youthful, they are cheerful, just looking for a good time, and that is what I've tried to portray with my music video, being more of a performance-based aspect instead of a narrative. As I just wanted to seem fun and enjoyable for the viewer to watch. Also, the fun and antic side of the life matrix links into my song being also quite danceable with its upbeat tempo, therefore relating to the idea of these people being more free-spirited and outgoing. Also, this is a good target for my music video because it is representing more of a mass audience due to my song being of a subgenre. Therefore, it invites both people that like the indie genre and the people that like the pop genre together, therefore opening my song and my music video and my artist as a whole to a whole different variety of people, bringing in a wider audience. Also, I received a lot of positive comments in regards to the graphics I included in my music video. This was not just from the video audience feedback that I received, but also from all of the comments I got back from the written notes that are in the table on my blog. They think that it added well to the actual music video, and I have to agree. I think that it helped link to Andrew Goodwin's conventions and the idea that linking lyrics to visuals. Linking the lyrics to visuals was very important for me to do, as it just made it more fun, more creative, and it just ultimately stood out certain parts of the song. For example, the paper aeroplane, the way how the artist had to do the actions within the actual production was quite a challenge to direct the actual pure movement, so then in post I could put it in a lot easier. But it was ultimately fun to do, and the outcomes turned out great and successful, which is what I originally intended, was to show a fun and creative side and to add youthfulness to my music video, linking back to my target audience of being 13 to 24-year-olds. Also, the bright colours that I used for the graphics, for example the stars and then the hearts, really added and boosted up the colour, linking to the idea of the pop genre in particular. However, I did receive some improvements for my music video within all of my audience feedback, which definitely referred to the idea of adding more of a narrative within my music video. I did originally go for a performance-based music video just because I just wanted to make it fun and youthful, because of my target audience being 13 to 24-year-olds and the overall upbeat tempo of my song being more danceable, just more fun and outgoing. However, I did receive some of these comments after my first draft about including a narrative. I did try to include part of a narrative or part of a small story at the beginning of my music video after receiving these comments. However, I didn't want to put it in too much to take away from my initial idea of just making it fun and performance based. Therefore, I did some research into real music videos and found one by Shawn Mendes called Something Big. And within the beginning of this music video, it shows the artist getting up out of bed, brushing their teeth, and then switching on the radio. I kind of wanted to take my own spin on this, therefore I filmed a segment where the alarm clock was beeping and the artist had to just turn it off, and as soon as he turned it off, the song started playing, which I thought did actually add a lot more to the music video than just starting it off with the artist dancing or just fast cuts. It led into what was going to be a fast-paced music video, making it slow and then building it up, which I really liked, and from this audience feedback I think has created a more successful product. I overall asked for constant verbal feedback from my peers, as my music video was quite complex within the idea of the graphics as well as the fast-paced cuts. Therefore, by asking for constant feedback throughout my process helped me guide myself onto the right lines in order to create the product that I did, which from the marks that I got out of 5 within the audience feedback, mostly being 4s and 5s, shows that I have achieved this. Also asking for verbal feedback throughout my process, this ultimately enabled me to again change some shots to make it more fast-paced if necessary. For example, I got some peer audience feedback in regards to the idea of making the motorway shot that I did pulsate in order to make that progression into the slow break of the song more interesting to watch, so it didn't seem like it was just bolted on. It can be argued then that my target audience did influence the overall planning and construction of my text, as I have completely designed it and styled it around my target audience of 13 to 24-year-olds who are outgoing, who are tribe-wired and who have fun antics. And by incorporating all of that throughout my media products as a whole, enables them all to tie in some way, and for the style that I was going for to be continuous and to make it not seem as like separate products and to make them seem as a whole, which is what I wanted. I also did this by making sure that the front cover of my CD was included as my YouTube thumbnail for my music video and for my playlist that was on my website, and actually for my main website homepage. So it kind of, as it did interlink them together and make them more recognisable in that sense, it did also form another form of advertisement to the actual album itself, as the users or viewers were constantly reminded of the front cover, which if they saw in a store or online, they would instantly know who the artist is and what music they produce. So if I was going to look at on how I did attract or address my audience, I would say that my music video attracts the audience due to its fast pace and cutaways, which links to the song's dance vibe. Whereas the older generations may prefer more of like a slow song with slower cuts and transitions. I have also, to still include within the quicker transition theme that I was going for, within the break of the song, I did speed up the clips, and I did actually in the production side film in this effect on my camera entitled miniature effect. This speeds up the footage instantly and made it a lot easier for me in post. I got influenced by this idea by Ed Sheeran's Castle on the Hill music video, whereas within the break of the song he includes sped up scenes, which slows down the song but also keeps up the sped up intention that the song has its upbeat tempo, which is what I wanted to go for. Therefore, that is why I included those throughout. Also, to relate and to attract to my audience, being quite youthful and quite fun, I wanted to include sections of humour within my music video, and I did this by including actually the artist dancing or just having a good time during shots, in which I did integrate within my music video, which was quite fun. Within my music video, I have also catered to my audience by including these fast-paced cuts, but I've also done fast-paced transitions. This is by quickly panning to the right or to the left within different shots in order to make it smooth and quick and fast. This therefore forms a constant flow within the different cuts and within the different scenes as well. Also, the idea of these transitions help to keep the music video flowing, which is important to keep the viewer interested within a music video that isn't necessarily a narrative. Therefore, constantly making it fun and different within each section of the song allows this to happen. I have also used locations in order to address to my target audience, as I have used an actual playground, which relates to the youthfulness that I was going for, as the target audience will hopefully be able to relate to going to a playground and having fun, as shown with what the artist was actually doing. This ultimately makes the artist more relatable and relates to Richard Dyer's star theory and the idea of the artist being extraordinary but also ordinary for the consumer. So the idea that the artist in this case is extraordinary because he's in a music video and he's creating his own songs, and but also ordinary because he's doing relatable things within his music video, and which ultimately relates to the audience and can make them feel more connected to the artist as a whole. Also, you can argue that the graphics relate to my target audience, as for example, the paper aeroplane is often related to youths making them and just having fun. Therefore, by highlighting this concept within the lyrics, within my music video by the graphics, addresses my younger audience age and makes it more relatable and forms a connection between them and the music video itself. My music video also creates humour, which again relates to the fun, antics and outgoing audience that I'm trying to relate to, and I have further used graphics to highlight this humour. For example, within some of the shots where this humour is shown, I have accentuated when the artist is pointing into the air by having animations of white sparks flying from his hands, which I think ultimately makes it more interesting and more creative and unique. From further audience feedback, I have received comments saying that the sky shot was too long. This is where the artist within the music video was painting the sky, as the lyrics say. However, I do have to disagree with the fact that if the clip was made any shorter, then the actual quick pan transition to the right wouldn't have worked, as the blurred image as the camera pans quickly wouldn't have been as effective. Therefore, in a way, this was a fault of the production side, as if the camera panned slightly earlier, then the sky shot would have been shortened, as the comments say. However, I would definitely improve on this in the future, and possibly would take different amount of shots with different speeds of the actual pan in order to get the right one in post. Other positive feedback I received was saying that the lip syncing was near perfect, which is what I aim to do within the post-production. I was going by the actual millisecond, taking off what is needed to make it actual pristine and perfect. So I'm happy that that came through to the viewer. Other comments say that there was great locations. From actual audience feedback from my draft 1, I got feedback suggesting to actually film in more locations than just the rural ones that I did film originally. Therefore, I took a trip to Salford and I started filming there. Most of the shots I filmed there was actually spontaneous, as I couldn't physically plan before the individual shots beforehand. This was because Salford is a long distance away and I couldn't exactly travel there to do some location scouting to travel back. Therefore I had to do a lot of the research online and I had to just basically film spontaneously. However, the shots that I got works well, and it's shown within the comments saying that there was great locations. And I do agree, from the actual feedback that I got given within my draft has ultimately changed the vibe of my whole music video. The urban locations, especially at Salford, allow that different colour contrast between the bridges, between the water, between the urban setting, between the light bouncing off the buildings, as it is media city, so therefore it was bright and colourful and just the perfect setting for my indie pop genre music video summer vibe. The target audience is also good for my website, as the older category within my target audience, being like the 20 to 24 year olds, are more financially viable to purchase the music, to purchase, you know, maybe the more unique or expensive things on the store on my website. However, within my audience feedback that I have received, it was stated that maybe the actual younger generations were more likely to buy the more expensive things on the merchandise store. This is due to them possibly pestering their parents to ask them to buy the more expensive gimmicks. Whereas the older people might be a little bit more practical and might want to go for a more subtle approach, but also obviously wants to share their love for the artist. This is the reason why I created the mug as part of my merchandise, as it is available to the ones of the older audience, because it is also practical but has a unique style, with it having the crest on it, which represents obviously the logo for my artist other than the name. Also linking back to the older categories of my target audience, being like the 20 to 24 year olds, and linking back to the idea that they might be the ones most likely to purchase the music that is available on my website. In the idea of this, I have also created within the music page a list of all of the songs on the album, which enables the younger audiences, but everyone as well, to also play the songs, so they don't necessarily have to buy them, but buying them just generally makes the user feel like they are supporting the artist. And from my personal experience, I have bought artist CDs and things like that in order to show my support to the artist more, but I have given that option there for everyone who possibly can't afford the music, so they are able to stream both the Elemental album and the EP album as well. Ultimately, I have tried to make everything within my merchandise store of a reasonable price. Tried not to make it too expensive, so everyone feels like they are welcome to purchase any form of merchandise if need be. During the process of making these prices, I continuously asked for audience verbal feedback, which gave me the opportunity to constantly listen and learn to what people would actually pay for products, people that have purchased gimmicks before or merchandise before from other artists themselves, which gave me a better outlook on the idea of pricing itself. Also, I have done that from my personal experience of actually purchasing CDs from artists, and enticing that together, I've managed to create reasonable price items, I believe, that are offered to everyone. So if you might not be able to afford the jumper, however, you can still show your support for the artist by buying the keychain, which is only $2.99. Also, the concept of the users being able to buy the music or the CDs online ultimately links to Rick Altman's theory, as he argues that pure genre no longer exists and consumers prefer variation. As it also states in my bio, that my artist is a very creative artist, and he tends to vary between in and out genres of music. Ultimately, being able to download the songs straight onto your phone or onto your laptop prevents the need to go out to a store and buy physical copies, which saves time, saves money, and if you only like a few songs on the album, you can buy them separately. Also, when purchasing the CD online on my website, the CD will be delivered, which again saves time. Also, being able to purchase a physical copy of my CD allows the fan to feel more involved with the artist, as it comes with a CD booklet, which again gives them a more involved atmosphere to the actual artist themselves, as it gives a more in-depth approach. For example, there's a thank you message on the back, which allows the artist to connect with its fans more and to thank everyone that has been involved with the album. Also, having a CD makes it like a souvenir, and the idea of an original and physical copy makes it appealing to the audience and to the fans of the actual artist. But giving the audience the choice to either purchase the actual physical copy of the CD or download the music doesn't limit their options. But when linking back to my audience feedback that I received, it became clear to me that maybe the bottom bar on my website, which continuously followed when you scroll down the pages, it wasn't particularly liked as much as what I originally intended it to be, as it was stated in my audience feedback that they would have preferred it to have been on the top of the actual page, so you would have to continuously be like having to scroll up and down. This is all because of the reason that it kind of covered up the bottom section of the actual website, which felt like it was restricting them. So therefore, I would definitely work on that and improve on that in the future. But as it is shown within my mobile website, I actually did it as a menu in the top right hand corner, where you basically just clicked on it and you scrolled down, and it didn't follow you down the page, which as from the audience feedback within the video, was a lot more liked and was still easy to use and still simple, which is what I intended the actual bar to be at the bottom of the page, but just less obstructing the view of the actual website itself. Therefore, I would definitely change this within the future. When I was creating my website, I did ask for verbal feedback in regards to the idea of creating the tabs or making it just a continuous scroll bar. Within my original design, I had the tabs as well as the scroll bar, and the tabs then connected to the pages further down, so it kept on just going down the same page. The only thing that I had in a separate web page was the store. Therefore, the feedback that I got given was to actually, instead of making it as a continuous scroll bar, which they actually found quite confusing as both the tabs and the scroll bar work together, that by having the tabs separate and by making each page like a separate thing makes it more easy to understand. My audience thought that this would ultimately help the younger ages within my target audience, and it would help them just easily guide themselves around the page. Therefore, from this audience feedback, it ultimately helps the users to guide themselves around the website as a whole, and makes each page individual and separate. And by actually making them as each individual pages, it allowed me to have different web page backgrounds, whereas like I was struggling before by only having small strips to include for the individual backgrounds in order to separate them, whereas like having it as an individual page allowed me to tie in images of the artist that was suitable to that actual tab or that heading of the actual web page itself. For example, on the context page, I include an image which is also included within my CD inner package within the central part. Well, this image on the web page consists of the artist to the left of the screen looking at the actual context bar, as if it's influencing the user to actually contact the artist and possibly send fan mail or get in touch. So that's what I also did from this audience feedback. Also, from the audience feedback that I received in regards to my CD package, and this is specifically in regards to the inner design. Within my package, it consists of having vivid images on both pages with lyrics being on top. Within my feedback, it suggests that the white text that goes over the top cannot be seen fully on some of the lighter parts of the actual images. And I do have to say, I do agree. When I was actually creating the CD inner, I kind of already knew that this was a problem. However, because I kind of wanted to keep the fun and vibrant vibe throughout the actual CD inner package, I kept it the same. Also, I didn't really want to have to change the style or the font size or the font colour throughout the different pages, as I feel like this would have took away from the actual continuous style that I was going for. As a result, I kept it white. From discussing it with my fellow peer within my audience feedback video, we discussed ideas that it would have been better if I did include one page having the artist on and the other page having a plain background, but not plain, more of like a pattern background or of some sort, with then the lyrics on that side. And therefore it wouldn't have took away from necessarily the artist, and as the lyrics would have been on the same page as what is initially, whereas this would have been separate and more individual. It would also enable the people that are interested in actually reading the lyrics and following along with the song able to do so. Therefore, I probably would have done it similar to actually Ollie Mers's CD inner, where he has within his booklet included both these are the lyrics and the songs. The outside include film pictures of him there down the side. This again is clear here. This would have been possibly a similar design to what I would have done now looking back, as it still includes the artist on this side here, but then it still includes like the long lyrics and the songs down there, but it still entices the artist down the side. And actually this includes more images of the artist, so this would definitely be something that I would be looking for if I was going to improve in the future. Overall, I have made my CD package vivid, bright and colourful. I have done this by colour correction via Premiere Pro, but I've also done this by the actual production set. My camera consists of an effect called miniature effect. I have used this within my music video for making the sped up shots, but for photos itself I have used it in order to make the pictures more vivid straight away, and makes my job easier within post-production when editing these shots. The miniature effect ultimately makes everything stand out and makes the corners of the frame here, or you can choose it here, to be more blurred, which focuses it more on the subject and makes the viewer's eyes ultimately focus on them, which is what I wanted within the front cover. As for my conventions and my research, it shows that the artist is usually direct and within the centre of the CD cover, with it being more of a mid shot, which I have also achieved. I have also contrasted the vivid colour with light reflection and created a softer glow, which is from the miniature effect originally as well. This ultimately goes from the stereotype of the artist looking away from the camera, not making and forming a form of indirect address, less rebellious, and shows that it is nostalgic and it is more of a form of innocence instead, and he is just looking out, dreaming instead of rebelling against the norm. This therefore will show to parents of the younger ages of my target audience that the artist is instantly going to be okay for that age category. It's not something that is rebellious or against social cultures, etc. I discussed this fact actually within my audience feedback video, and from the audience feedback I received, they do agree with the idea that it does show nostalgia instead of rebellion. However, when looking at the idea of having the lyrics on the same page as the artist, I did intentionally do that because I kind of wanted to form that stronger connection between the artist and the lyrics. For example, in a page where I have done the lyrics for Seeing Stars, I have made the artist look at the lyrics. I think this shows the viewer that the artist is connected with the song. And plus the song is about love, therefore by the artist looking at the lyrics shows his deeper meaning with the song. However, when linking back to the feedback, I do agree that the Olimer's inspiration to the actual images down the side and the lyrics on a separate page may have been best, as it allows the audience to actually read the lyrics properly and not being able to struggle, which would have been more beneficial to them. Therefore, I would improve on this in the future. So I'm really happy that I received these comments, and from them it has enabled me to construct a successful product, music video wise, CD packaging wise and website wise. Thank you, and this is evaluation question 3.